Here is the 2024 Genesis G70 3.3T in black with the Sports Prestige package, which adds the electronically controlled suspension and a limited slip differential. When you're thinking competition, this is going to be the sweet spot for performance sedans. I'm going to take you through three different parts: the exterior, interior, and show you the drive with the dynamics, the handling, and the performance. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. We're going to also go over some pros and cons throughout the review and the problem that I have with the Genesis. It's going to start with 5.1 inches of clearance, quad LED headlights and daytime runnings that integrate into the large grille. It's going to have this satin chrome, and on the lower is going to get the matte black, which I kind of wish that they did the same as they did on the top, but I understand that you're giving like a two-tone look. Genesis badge flows into the top of the hood with the wings opening up, and underneath here is what's special. This is a 3.3 liter twin-turbo V6 producing 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, achieving 18 to 27 mpgs. And this year, even if you option the 2.5 turbo, you're getting over 300 horsepower. We have Brembo brakes. That's also standard this year with the red brake calipers, wrapped with a 225/40/19 up front and a 255/35 out back. Stickier tires because it's performance driven, more torque than BMW and Mercedes, more horsepower and torque than Audi. So when you're thinking about package deals, electronically controlled suspension, limited slip differential, a near 50/50 weight distribution, this sounds like a BMW camouflaged to a Genesis, and you're going to be saving at least $5 grand from MSRP to a near fully loaded Genesis. Same thing when you go to Mercedes, a C43, it's going to be around $70,000 to compete with the features that you're getting with this, and going against Audi, it's going to be the same thing. Because even if you downgrade and you get the smaller concept, say you go into an S3, you're still spending about what you would go here. You go to an S4, you're going to spend more. The S5, it starts going up into the $70,000 price point, in which this is why it's not just a bargain, but it's also one of the most performance variants in its class. Standard LED quad taillights. The lower I wish was a little bit more aggressive because the diffuser is so low, and then there's just a lot of matte black that's going to be in between the dual exhaust outlets. I do like that they put the grille pattern here on the side because it does copy the front. The rear will be the most settled in class, and the problem that I have to start off with is you have to tick the box for that Sports Prestige package, in which it tax on another $4,000-ish. When you go into the rivals, typically it's about $1,000, $2,000 for a feature. I understand that the MSRP is inexpensive, but don't raise the features double and triple to make up for being less on your MSRP. The Sport Prestige package adds the power liftgate that goes into 12 cubic feet of storage. It does sit up, but you're expecting that. It's a sports car. I left the mats inside so you can see the Genesis badging on it. And this is the longer mat underneath. It's going to have a spare tire. There isn't any 12 volts, but you do have a little storage nook. You can split fold the rear bench at a 60/40 split. However, you have to go to the back in order to do so by pulling these levers. Increase the cargo capacity to this sports car. We need to go inside, start up the G70 so you can hear that exhaust note. The Sports Prestige package adds the Napa leather seats, otherwise it will be leather seats. Heated, ventilated front seats, 16-way power seat adjustment for the driver, 12-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. You get the piping, and you get the quilted memory for the driver. Headroom and leg room. We get the sport pedals. And it's going to be driver focus, which starts off with a con because this bulges out and it makes it a little bit smaller in the footwell area. Lexicon 15 speakers, that's going to start in the 3.3. Heads-up display, heated steering wheel. Put it into reverse, you'll get a 360-degree reverse camera. and the turn signals that will go into the gauge cluster that's part of the Sport Prestige package. It's a 10.25 inch, which is standard. We have navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. Going back into this, you can zoom in and you can zoom out. You get full trajectory, and you can also change, hit the wrong button, different layouts to make it easier for your reversing. Quiet mode, which will be standard, and Genesis connected services. You actually have physical buttons also to turn on and off the sound system and to operate the navigation, which is simply to go into the maps. You can also expand it out to get the full size of the screen. This is a new integrated climate control. It's a dual climate control setting, heated, ventilated seat switches, everything through here, and you just simply tap on the button wherever you want it to blow or to turn it up and down for the fan speed. Wireless charging pad, USB, 12 volts, the shifter, and the key fob for the G70 3.3. You'll have the aluminum inlays, the driving mode select. When you change that, you have Sport Plus, which will make the seat contour, and you can also custom, which you go into here, and you can change the configuration of how sport you want it to be. And you do have a lot of different driving modes. A leather wrap steering wheel that's multi-function with the paddle shifts. It's going to be more sporty, to be expected though, because it's a sports car with another USB and a smaller storage pocket. I kind of wish they had like a little sleeve or a pass-through, because just a lot of real estate that's being lost. Auto-dimming rear view mirror, a moonroof, and the suede inserts is also part of that Sport Prestige package that will be on the headliner and on the pillars. The door panel is going to integrate into the dash. It's going to be more everyday material, so you get the hard plastic. Aluminum that's going to brush into the diamond stitch, one touch up and down for the windows, with a small storage pocket. For the back seats, headroom is not that bad. It's actually carved out for you, and you have LED interior lights. Storage behind both of the front seats. It's a little storage net, and if you are sitting behind the passenger, you can move their seat forward to give you a little bit more leg space, which I'm going to just do that right now so I can actually fit. Air vents in the center, 2 USB ports, cup holders with an armrest, and I like that they put the pattern around it so it makes it look unique to the Genesis. The door panels will have the same materials found in the front, except a smaller storage pocket, and you get a little area here that you can hang your clothes. Sliding to the center, you can see it's very difficult, especially if I am driving at 6'3". The rails are pushed back way too much, so feet space is going to be shared, leg space. This is really like a 2-seat car in the back if you're over 6 foot tall. Headroom becomes really compromised, and I mean, look, you'd have to push this seat up so much, it's not going to be worth sitting somebody in the center. Twin turbo V6 with 365 horsepower, 376 pound-feet of torque. You can go over speed bumps and you'll feel some of that because it does have a more sporty suspension. It's going to be a little bit more firm and stiff. And when you have it in comfort mode, the gears will change a little bit more frequently, so you'll get better MPGs. When you put it in sport mode, you will hear the exhaust tick up and also your RPM, and it will contour to your back. And I like that we have the turn signals that are integrated in the gauge cluster, even though this is not a full digital reader. It has some power. I mean, it's just ready to go. This thing is like one of those sweet spots. That's really the best way to explain it, because it's fun to drive. It has luxury inside. You have all the tech that you need. I mean, look at this thing go. And you got Brembo brakes. So if you need to stop, you can do so. Now, it's going to be a lot more bumpy than, I would say, Mercedes, but it's not going to be so much more so than BMW, so the drive is going to be very similar. You sit down low, you're going to hear some road noise filter in, but for the most part, pretty quiet. It's a near 50-50 weight distribution too, which is great. So it just hugs the roads. Dynamically speaking, it's sound. Technology, it's great. Seat cushioning, it's nice. They do lack on some power seat adjustment for the passenger. It's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros, you heard, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 already. But to even go a little bit further, when you tick the box for the Sports Prestige package, which I know I said it's a problem, but if you want to spend the extra $4,000, you do get a pretty good face value. The con, though, is you gotta go really to the G80 if you want to use the back seats. It's going to be super tight. I would say that the S5 would be a little bit more space than this in the interior, and predominantly because it's going to be a hatchback. And if they made this a hatchback, I think this would be a little bit more usable for a family, because once you start going more than 3-4 people in the car, it's tough. The driver focus setup is good, but for the passenger, it's also a con because it does take quite a bit of space for leg room. And the infotainment screen coming out of the dash, it's a smaller infotainment screen, so they could have reconfigured it like they did with this climate control touchpad, which makes it a little bit more upscale too for what you're getting overall value. Look at the exit. Boy, she gets up to speed. I would say this is going to be one of the most in class, though, for road noise coming in. And you can see what I mean. I mean, you're staying in your seat planted. A lot of that is because it's contoured against you. But there's just a lot of excitement and engagement in this vehicle. I would like to see a little bit more soft materials because I am hovering near a 60 grand price. But if you have some winding roads, want to have some weekend fun, this is the car to do it with. It doesn't feel so wide. You have better clearance in this than all of the rivals, 5.1 inches of clearance. But now we're going to really see that performance on a 0 to 60. We've already hit it. It's just too quick for its own good. Now, you're not going to be driving this car performance all the time, but I will say that the 3.3, you're going to be playing with it a little bit more so than the 2.5. Even though the 2.5 now has 300 horsepower, which is a lot of horsepower, because when you're thinking base trim vehicles that go against this, like a standard BMW 3 Series, it's going to blow it out of the water. The same thing with Mercedes and the same thing with Audi. So going for a long ride, you can do so. You have adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist with steering assist. The vehicle can drive for you for about 0.3 to 0.4 miles, which is actually a little bit better than some of the competition as well. And the problems that I have is the engine can stall because of the air intake. You can have some electric problems with the vehicle. Turn radius at a stop sign is about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. A little bit more settle. Not gonna hear that exhaust note whenever it is in comfort, but it's hard to complain when you're comparing this against the competition in which they're more money and you're getting similar performance, if not better, and tech. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I like to thank Genesis of Newport Richey for giving us this 2024 Genesis G70 3.3T for our car review.